On April 28, 2025, the Trump administration unleashed a wave of executive orders that sent shockwaves through the nation's immigration system. These orders, 3 in total, represent a dramatic escalation in the administration's ongoing efforts to restrict immigration and reshape the legal landscape for immigrants. The first order targets sanctuary cities, aiming to strip them of federal funding and punish jurisdictions that refuse to fully cooperate with federal immigration enforcement. The second order significantly expands the categories of undocumented immigrants prioritized for deportation, casting a wider net and raising fears of mass deportations. Lastly, the third order, perhaps the most controversial, grants sweeping powers to immigration enforcement agencies, fueling concerns about potential abuses of power and violations of due process. These executive orders do not exist in a vacuum. They are part of a larger pattern of actions taken by the Trump administration since its inception, all aimed at curtailing both legal and illegal immigration. This includes the infamous Muslim ban, the drastic reduction in refugee admissions, and the family separation policy that sparked international outrage. Taken together, these actions paint a clear picture of an administration determined to remake America's immigration system in its own image, one that prioritizes exclusion and deterrence over compassion and due process. The ramifications of these executive orders are far-reaching and potentially devastating. Immigrant communities across the country are living in a state of heightened fear and uncertainty, unsure of what the future holds. The already backlogged immigration court system is bracing for an influx of new cases, further straining its limited resources. The potential for human rights violations looms large, as due process protections are weakened and enforcement agencies are granted expanded authority. These executive orders, far from making America great again, threaten to erode the very values of fairness, justice, and equality upon which this nation was founded. While the Trump administration insists that its immigration policies are applied equally to all, the reality on the ground paints a different picture. Latino communities, particularly those with undocumented members, are disproportionately impacted by these policies and bear the brunt of the administration's aggressive enforcement tactics. This disparity is not accidental. It is the result of a deliberate focus on border security and interior enforcement measures that disproportionately target Latino immigrants. Statistics paint a stark picture of this unequal impact. According to data from Source, Latinos make up the vast majority of individuals apprehended at the border and detained in immigration detention facilities. Furthermore, the Trump administration's decision to expand the categories of deportable offenses has resulted in a surge in deportations of Latinos with even minor criminal convictions, often for offenses that would not have previously made them a priority for removal. This focus on enforcement, coupled with the administration's rhetoric demonizing immigrants, has created a climate of fear and distrust in Latino communities. The consequences of this targeted enforcement are devastating. Families are being torn apart, businesses are struggling to find workers, and communities are being robbed of their vitality. The constant threat of deportation hangs over the heads of undocumented immigrants and their families, creating a climate of anxiety and fear that impacts every aspect of their lives. Children are afraid to go to school, parents are afraid to go to work, and entire communities are living in the shadows, afraid to report crimes or access essential services for fear of being targeted by immigration enforcement. At the heart of the American legal system lies the principle of due process, a fundamental right enshrined in the 5th and 14th Amendments of the Constitution. However, the Trump administration's executive orders on immigration erode this right, especially for immigrants facing deportation. Expedited removal procedures now allow deportations without a hearing, expanding to those in the country for up to 2 years. This raises concerns about potential abuse and erroneous deportations. Limiting access to legal representation further disadvantages immigrants in complex legal proceedings. This erosion of due process undermines American justice and threatens the rule of law for all. In today's world, we often think of slavery as a thing of the past, a dark chapter in human history that we've left behind. But is that really the case? When we look closer, we see that modern forms of exploitation and human trafficking still persist, often hidden in plain sight. It's crucial to ask ourselves, have we truly eradicated slavery, or has it simply evolved into new, insidious forms? Immigration policies are often framed as issues of national security and economic stability. However, when examined through a racial lens, a different picture emerges. These policies can disproportionately affect communities of color, perpetuating cycles of discrimination and inequality. It's important to understand that immigration is not just a political issue. It's a deeply human one, intertwined with the histories and futures of countless individuals and families. Legal experts and human rights advocates play a pivotal role in the fight for justice and equality. They bring attention to the systemic issues that perpetuate injustice and work tirelessly to protect the rights of the marginalized. Their insights and experiences shed light on the complexities of legal battles and human rights struggles, reminding us that the pursuit of justice is ongoing and requires our collective effort.